What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and I just finished up watching Daniel Jacobs versus John Ryder, and this was a 12-rounder for the WBA super middleweight world title eliminator, and this fight was Saturday, February 12th, from the Alexandra Palace in Muswell Hill, London, England, and this fight was broadcasted on DAZN, and in this fight, John Ryder was able to pull off the upset, getting a split decision victory over Daniel Jacobs. So I personally scored this about 116 to 112 in favor of Danny Jacobs. I thought that Jacobs won this fight, but it was a very fun and competitive fight for the second half. And the three judges scored this about 115 to 113 twice in favor of Ryder and 115 to 113 once in favor of Jacobs. So the first half of this fight was all Daniel Jacobs. Jacobs controlled the fight at range, was just counter-punching Ryder, landing the better shots, jabbing. The only round in the first six that you could have given to Ryder was the first round, but that was a bit of a stretch as well. But I would say that's more so a swing round, but I mean, it definitely edged like 55-45 in favor of Jacobs. But that was the only round, as I mentioned before, that you could have given to Ryder in the first half. But the other rounds were clear in favor of Jacobs, in my opinion. I thought he controlled them pretty easily and dictated the pace of the fight. But then in the second half of the fight, during the seventh round, Daniel Jacobs was buckled a bit with a nice right hook to the chin, where it looked like, or maybe even the nose area, and it was followed by an exchange from John Ryder. I mean, it looked like Jacobs was hurt from that exchange with John Ryder. And then in the eighth round, again, Jacobs looked stunned a bit. I mean, he got hit with a big combination on the inside, going to the body, then to the head, and Jacobs just looked stunned. He looked dazed. And I mean, it really looked like he was hurt because he was just sort of standing there trying to clinch. He was sort of buckled a bit. His legs looked a little bit wavy, and he didn't look right in that round. But then John Ryder had a couple strong rounds, like from rounds 7, 8, and 9. They were very strong for John Ryder. He looked like he was taking back, or really just starting to show Danny Jacobs to who he is. He started to control the fight from that point in the second half, and he looked very, very good. But yeah, in rounds 11 and 12, or round 10, I should say, was actually a very close round. You could have given it to Jacobs, in my opinion, but I edged it towards Ryder because he had a very strong finish with a nice straight down the pipe. But it was a very close round where Jacobs was boxing pretty decently with the jab early on. But then rounds 11 and 12, I actually gave them to Danny Jacobs. I thought Jacobs was doing a nice job to land the jab on the outside and actually just outwork John Ryder and land some very nice shots. And John Ryder also got some nice shots in there, so I could have seen you giving those rounds to John Ryder, but I mean, I think at least one of them would have been a stretch. Like round 11 would have been a bit of a stretch, but round 12, I guess you could give it to Ryder, but I mean that's also a bit of a stretch as well. So I mean, did the judges get this decision right? I honestly don't know. I'm gonna have to rewatch this fight to rescore it because, I mean, it looked like, in my opinion, Daniel Jacobs won this fight. I just thought that with his boxing and counterpunching, he controlled it. But later on, John Ryder did have a very strong performance. But it was really those last three rounds that really determined who was the winner of this fight. So it's really depending on how you had the last three rounds. It could have went either way. But yeah, nonetheless, comment down below your thoughts on this fight, your thoughts on the judge's decision, if you thought they got it right, and your scorecard, because I'm very interested to see how everyone else had it. So yeah, I mean, with that being said, what is next for John Ryder winning this WBA super middleweight world title eliminator? I would not mind seeing him fight someone highly ranked in the WBA, possibly like a Fedor Chudinov for a final eliminator, possibly, or he could even fight Daniel Jacobs in a rematch, considering it was a bit of an upset, this one, but that's a little bit unlikely. And a possible option is definitely the WBA regular super middleweight world champion and David Morrell Jr. Since this was an eliminator, he could definitely get a shot at the regular belt next. But I do think Canelo Alvarez, even though he is the super WBA champion, I still don't think that, that's really an option for maybe even the next year for John Ryder, considering that Canelo is all busy with these big fights, like against Bivol, etc. I mean, he just has way too many options to possibly fight John Ryder. But I think Ryder could definitely fight Chudinov, Morrell Jr., maybe even someone else in the WBA, or possibly a rematch, but that's a bit of a stretch. But as for Daniel Jacobs, losing here for the fourth time, a shock loss, as many people, myself included, thought he would win this fight. I did think it would be a competitive fight, but still, John Ryder got the decision. I predicted a majority decision for Jacobs, but John Ryder pulled it off. It was a very close fight. And I think Daniel Jacobs, it's definitely possible that he could retire. He's 35 years old, losing for the fourth time, and this was really a make or break fight for either of them. So he could have lost or he could retire as a result of this fight. But since he's been at the top level for so long, I don't see him taking a break, like fighting a guy who's like a so-called bum, like a guy that would just be an easy knockout. I see him fighting someone that's still ranked in the top 15 in the super middleweight division. I wouldn't even mind seeing him fight a guy possibly like an Isaac Chilemba. That'd be a very interesting and nice comeback fight for him. Maybe even a guy like Edgar Berlanga. That'd be a very fun fight to see in the super middleweight division. But as I mentioned before, there could be a rematch, but it's a bit of a stretch, as I mentioned many times in this video. So overall, John Ryder upsets Daniel Jacobs, defeating him by split decision to win the WBA super middleweight world title eliminator. And that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.